Hey Lucas.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Great, how are you?
Good. What's new?
Oh, nothing much. Just
Same old?
working remotely.
Cool.
Um,
Cool
so
hat.
so excited to have you on here and great to meet you. I know it's just been
Thanks.
through IG, but how long have you been with DealMachine? Like,
This well, I tried it almost 2 years, but I tried it like a year ago, and I wasn't like really consistent with it. And then in January, I kind of stopped it because I do real estate as well. So I was like, all right, let me just like I was very skeptical when I first started it. I was like, let me can this because I'll just put my efforts into something else. And then 2 weeks after I canned it, I got a phone call, and it was from someone who wanted to sell me this specific deal. And I ran it through my head, and I was like, I remember when I pulled up to the house, the picture. So right there, I was like, oh, okay, it just clicked for me. It was like, okay, this is all about like the consistency. So I shouldn't be canning it. So after that deal, I restarted it obviously again, and now I'm like working out all the kinks in the campaigns, and I'm doing like a 1 year campaign, a 2 year, and I've really dove that like this sold me on the on the app.
oh
So now
my
I'm getting into
gosh.
it more. I uploaded the list of homes that I had, and then I'm going at it again, and then I've already gotten a few phone calls. Some of them have been like, don't reach out, but it's good feedback to just kind of keep funneling down my deals or my funnel.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really glad that the person called you back so that way
Yeah.
you could come back into the fam and get into everything. But you said you've been in real estate, so kind of tell me your backstory. What got you into
Yeah.
doing this? Are you wholesaling, flipping?
I'm an agent full time, and then I do renos, flips. Don't really do much wholesaling. I got into the business to renovate my own homes, and I got into the agent side because every agent I was using wasn't really giving great service. So I grew up with a construction background. I knew that part. I come from Europe. I'm younger, so my family came here. That's the only kind of jobs they could get, like construction, like very manual labor type of stuff. So my father learned a lot of that stuff growing up, and he always used to tell me like, hey, I know you might not want to do this in your life, but you should understand like how a house is made and all this stuff. So if you ever were to get into, if you buy a house for yourself, you'll kind of know like pricing or just be familiar in that arena. I was like, yeah, whatever. So I went to college. I got an economics degree. I worked in finance for a little bit, for
Okay.
about 5 years, and then I was like, all right, this isn't for me. Like I don't like the corporate world. Like I don't see myself being here till retirement. Just like really the creativity part of that world for me was like I don't have much room to be creative. It's just kind of like very in a box. Like this is the job you do. So I hopped around a few companies because of like buyouts and all these things, and I just decided to dive all in into this. And then I just quit that world and I got into real estate and I started becoming an agent. But once I did that, I kind of cut out the other agents who were like really not helping me. And I started getting deals for myself through like MLS and just hunting for myself and getting those deals. And then that world started happening for me. But it's because of that, because I kind of cut out everyone else that wasn't really helping or like aligning with me. And then I started doing a lot of it by myself. So I used to do like a lot of the letters and all different types of contacts. And then I found the CRM and I was like, oh, this is another great CRM that I could implement from the investment side, just kind of have the machine always going.
Uh-huh.
But then just like real estate, I mean, those two worlds are the same. It's more consistency and persistence. And I see now 6, 8 months of mailing the effect I'm getting. And a lot of the phone calls I'm getting now is you've been sending me these mailers or these postcards. We're not ready yet. So it's like, oh, okay. It kind of clicked. Just like the real estate sales side, it's the persistence and consistency. And then after that, I dove in, I customized all my mailers. I'm kind of like testing on all these different like campaigns and stuff that you guys have, because I don't really do like 200, 300 mailers a month. I can't, I try to do both sales and investment. So the deals I put into like the CRM are more like I do a lot of research on them. So I'd rather have less mailers and like they're really targeted. So when that phone rings, I'm like, okay, this is someone who meets my like profit expectations, my criteria, and the area that I'm in. So they're more like efficient than bombing like 300, 400 because I don't do the investment stuff like full time. So it's all about like streamlining it to be more like quality over quantity type of leads. But yeah, it's been great. This is this deal has been like the quickest as far as return for me, and just the way it happened, I was like, oh, this is great. This takes a lot of stress and things off my plate. Because before this, I would do a lot of home renos. I would do about 3 to 5 houses a year, but like really focus on having really good profits and doing less work. Where a lot of people in my area specifically, I'm from the New Jersey area, it's like New York tri-state area. There's a lot of that turnover. People always hunting 30, 40, 50 deals a year, but then the returns are so small that for me, I'm like, I'd rather not even. I'd rather do a few a year, make the big fish profits like on this deal, and just kind of do the sales side as well. So it's been great. And this is a great tool to kind of just put this on autopilot for me until the phone rings. And I know when it rings, it's just like, okay, this is a good, because I vetted it and I've been consistently marketing to them and just gets me in the door.
I love it. So yeah, take me through this deal. I want to know like how, so you put it in, you forgot it, or you just were like, didn't really do much with it. And then you got a call, like talk me through it.
No, I put it in like last year. So it took about 6 to 8 months for that phone to ring. So I put it in, I just, every time, it's in the neighborhood I live in. So I'm like, I'm really familiar with the area. And every time I drive, whether it's going to an appointment or anywhere, I always take the routes, just kind of going out of the way, just like driving by these properties I'm interested in to see like what's going on, like is someone doing anything there. So I remember pulling up to this house and I was like, wow, this house looks terrible. It's like overgrown. I didn't think anyone lived there. And I just put it into DealMachine, and I didn't have any campaigns set up at that time. I didn't have any, I wasn't really into the apps. I wasn't really bought in on the app yet. I was just like, okay, let's just put the mailer on to mail every month and I'll see what happens. And this was in like maybe last summer, like June, July time.
Okay.
Come January, I was kind of just like going over all my costs and just for the year. At that time, I was flipping a house as well in the area. I was like, all right, I've been doing this DealMachine thing for like 4 or 5 months. I'm like, I haven't got any phone calls off of this, or like anything worthy of pursuing. So I'm like, in January, like I'm gonna stop it and see if in a few months I'll revisit this or find another way to maybe get in contact with people. And then like, yeah, a few weeks after that, that's the phone call they called me. Like, hey, you've been sending us these postcards. So it's been like maybe 4 to 6 months of mailers since like July to January, since that I killed my account. And so I went to visit the house. It was that house. What was funny when they met with me is they had like all those months of mailers with them. So I was like, oh, wow, this is, and the other funny thing, because it was like a hoarder house, when we were cleaning the house out, I found 3 more of those postcards like pinned up on the refrigerator. One was like pinned up on the door. The house was a mess. So it was like a few of them were like just like kind of all over the place. I was like, oh, wow, this works, because it's just about that constant consistency of every month following up with people. And when they're ready, it takes that. Because in this business, there's not much control over like, yeah, you want to buy this house. Maybe the timing isn't right. Maybe it's just that people aren't ready. So you just have to do it every month. And then when they're ready, like it was great that they had like all those postcards. It's like, okay, I know there's other investors in this area. But yeah, they were collecting my cards because I think it was that more consistent. And then I customized a lot of the messages on them, which I think helps. It's not the end all be all, but it definitely helps to kind of get your feeling out there. And the people that call you, the conversations I find are more genuine.
Yeah, I'm sure that they also like, it catches their attention more if your card stands out. Like, I mean, you have the picture of the house, if you customized it, like,
yeah,
I love that. Even though it was a hoarder situation, I'm really in fact, they pinned it to their fridge and they like didn't just throw it somewhere like that, because they could have used it for firewood or something like that. Like they could have used it for kindling. I would hope that was to anyone else, but but that's the thing is that they pinned it up and they were like, well, obviously you were then top of mind over if they were getting postcards from anyone else.
Yeah, and it's like, I still have the card. I should have brought it with me, but it was just the default DealMachine, it's just a little picture of the house and then it has the message, just the default template. Now I'm experimenting with using different templates every month. I'm doing postcard 1 month, letter the other month, trying to kind of flip flop. I have like a 2-year campaign, and I've really dove all in because it was when I got this deal, and like after I bought it and I sold it off, because I sold it off to another investor in the area. I just listed it and it ended up selling. And right now the market in my area is just extremely crazy, where not only on the retail side, but also on the renovation side, it's just, there's not much out there. There's people who don't know how to find their own deals. So everyone's kind of fighting over retail homes, and even on the renovation side, it's kind of dry. I think across the country it's like that. So yeah, it was just like a great position where I thought someone was like punking me. I was like, okay, I didn't have to really do much here. I was just mailing and putting it into my system. When the opportunity came, I mean, the skill is when the opportunity comes, right? Because you have to be able to kind of how to approach the situation and how to like get people out of their financial hardships or whatever it is. So I think that's where the real skill is. But this is a great tool where you don't have to. Before this, I would sit down every month. I'd have like 85 to 100 properties that I wanted to, and I would write like handwritten letters. I would like mail them myself. And I got a deal that way too. But when it comes to my sales business and then this, it's just, you can't do that every month. It's like, it's not the most cost effective, but it's also not the most time effective thing.
Yeah, you've got too much going on. How do you have time? You're not gonna have time to go to the appointment.
Yeah, it's just, it's like going to the gym and you get all excited and it's like, okay, it's like, am I going to do this for the next year? You already know the answer is no. Because in the third month, you're like, I hate doing this, like sitting down and writing these mailers.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
So how was so you went and saw the house, you saw it was a hoarder situation. Can you talk me through like, what price did you guys get to? Did you have to clean it out? Like how'd that whole thing go?
Yeah, the situation was a hoarder situation. They had some financial hardships. So I think to backtrack, the deals that I look for, so my process is I drive around a lot or I'll do a lot of research and then I'll put them into the app, but I don't mail yet until I get home or that week I sit down and I dig a little deeper into the background because I want the deals that are very hard to close. Okay. I feel a lot of people in my market, they go for the low hanging fruit, which is, the MLS flips and all that stuff. And it's just, you have so many people fighting over. I look for people who have multiple leads, who have all these financial, it's kind of like I always compare it to like when the old iPod headphones, when you take on your pocket, they're all tangled up. That's the kind of deals I look for, that I could just kind of untangle all of that.
I love that.
Yeah, because I find a lot of people don't want those deals. They get overwhelmed. So it's kind of like just preliminary title search. I'll hop on the land records. I'll research the property, be like, oh, okay, this person has X amount paid off, but they also have like 3 or 4 liens on their property. Okay. But those liens they still fit into that price point where I want to be. This is a perfect person to mail to because number one, I know a lot of people will get turned off by that. And the other thing is, it does take longer when you have that deal to then go through like clearing the clouds on the title before you can close. That's where all the bulk is, just like kind of getting to closing. Then you have to find all the liens because many times these sellers forgot about them or they don't care enough about them. They're overwhelmed by their financial hardship. So you have to untangle it for them. And if it makes sense for them to close that way, then it is. I always offer them a few options, which I think helps as well. So for this particular property, I went there, I saw it was a hoarder situation. I offered for them, since I'm an agent, to list it for them if they were willing to maybe clean it out, because it was just one of those houses where the basement became like a trash collection area. They weren't using it, they were just dumping garbage into there. They lived on 1 floor, and then the second floor had 4 bedrooms, but honestly, it was only 2 were usable because the rest was just, it was a house that was passed down from generation to generation. And then they weren't cleaning it out. It was just like all these things just compiled together. So I offered for them to list it. They didn't want to go that route. Then I gave an offer. It was 120 or 122, 750 with the closing cost, what I ended up closing on it for. A tree fell on the house. It had like holes in the roof. They were still occupying in that condition. So when I closed on it, which took about 2 months because there was a lot of liens that were tied up with it, but I had to, in the title process, I had to figure out. I cleaned out everything. I mean, it took 6 dumpsters, 6 30-yard dumpsters of stuff to clean out. And then, fixed a few things. There's some basement issues. And then, I just put it on the market. And the market worked in my favor during this time because like right now, like I think across the nation, there's really low inventory. A lot of people looking both on the first home buyer side, but also on the renovation side. These people know that, or these investors know the price they can get in this area. So they also know they have to pay more, but on the acquisition side. So for me, it was like, okay, I don't have to do anything here. I know the price I could sell it for, because it's still way under what all these other houses are going in the area. So it's like, I was kind of skeptical about that too. But I was like, no, I'm just going to list it because the house it had great bones. The year was good. And yeah, I had 33 showings, 11 offers in 48 hours. And yeah, it took Saturday, Sunday, by Monday night, it was under contract, and I closed 14 days from there. The buyers gave me a 25% non-refundable deposit. And it was just like, I mean, at that point I was like, this is the only deals I'm doing, because before that I did have a better deal profit-wise, but it was a renovation. So it took me like 6 months to do.
Right.
But tying your money up for 6 months and the effort and the time I had to put into it, this was a no-brainer. This was a 36-day turnaround. And I still focused on my sales business. I did this, and now these are the only types of deals I'm looking to do, or deals where I have about a few different options to get out of them. So I'll acquire it at a certain price and be like, okay, what's the best play for me here? Is it to maybe sell it off to someone else because I know the market's dry right now and there's no good deals out there, so I'll maybe wholesale it or put it on the market as an agent and just resell it to someone? Should I spend my 6 months here to renovate it? Like, what's my play here? Where I feel a lot of people, at least in my area, they're more of like one-trick ponies. Like, there's only one thing they can do, and they continue to focus on that. Whether it makes sense or not, that's kind of the only thing they do, which isn't a wrong or good thing. It's just, I like having a few different exit strategies.
I mean, more options, the better for you. And you, I love that. I see that more real estate agents are going into investing, because then you can give them that option to, you offered them to list it, or you could take it off their hands. The biggest question I get from real estate agents that want to go into investing is, how did you talk to your broker? Or like, how'd you find a broker that was going to be okay with doing that? Were you doing investing?
Yeah. I think just being honest up front, when I approached a broker, I said, hey, this is what I do as well. And I do the sales as well. And this is part of I have a separate LLC set up for these investments. And I use the brokerage to resell them. When I finish like a renovation, I resell it through the brokerage. I have I'm with Coldwell Banker, and other brokerages have this as well, but I have like a developer referral program set up. So I have a few properties a year that I could sell, I guess, for free or with no fee from my end. And then anything after a certain amount, I just pay like a referral fee, like any agent like would do, like 25% referral fee to the office. Which is what a lot of people in my area, developers, do with a lot of the offices. They'll get their license to kind of maybe save on the fees. They don't really do much business in the sales side, but when they list it, the agent will refer them back a fee for them having their license, because they're not really active. But so my office has that program, which I think a lot of offices will have. And as far as approaching, the only issue I guess there was just approaching the people, because being an agent, you do have the duty, or you should always offer people the option of giving them the option to make the most money. And I believe in my area, at least, it's through listing it on the market. So that's when I always approach people, which I think helps me win these awesome deals, is I'm very honest and transparent about what my intention is, but also I always give them a few options and not only one. So I always tell them, hey, you should list this, because in this area, this is the amount you would get. But these are the things we're going to have to do to have people walk through here. Like that hoarder house is just, I'll work with you to clean this out, because people will want to walk through it and they'll want to see it, especially maybe not all of it, but let's clean out a few rooms. They weren't willing to do any of that. So you try to offer people options, but sometimes I think the quick cash route, it makes sense for them. But I always tell them option B is me purchasing it or someone like me, but understand that you're getting way less than you would on the retail market. And then I kind of leave the meeting there. I give them a few options. The first one is list the home. This is what we should do to list it. This is the amount you would get, minus all the fees, commissions, all that. And then I'm like, this is the route. Plan B is me buying it at this price point. And then I kind of leave the meeting like that. Then I follow up in a few days, and they usually just give me the option they want to go with. I think both for me are great, because I either get the sales business or I'll get the renovation business. I don't really attach myself to the outcome of, let me just tell them what benefits me the most, which I feel people in my area do on the investment side. They go into these meetings because investing is all they do, and they will only release the information to the seller that benefits their getting the home. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, well, let me not tell you about option A, because that option might make you think a different way. But option B is, you don't want to deal with agents. They don't know what they're doing. It's like, well, yeah, there's bad agents, there's good agents, just like there's bad doctors and mechanics. But I feel if you're just genuine and give people options, people feel more in control. And then whatever they choose, to me, I'm like, whatever. If you want to list it, I'm more than happy to list it for you. If you want to sell it to me, this is the price, if that makes sense for you as well. Or if they don't want to sell it at all, maybe they want to rent it. It's just the ones that I focus on are homes that, I mean, they're either vacant, uninhabitable, or people just, I mean, there's just a lot of fixing that needs to take place in them. So a lot of times people aren't living in them. And then I leave it up to them. Some people do want to entertain the idea of working with them to clean it out or making it more marketable so they could get top dollar. And most people, they don't want that. They would rather take the cash offer, understanding they're getting maybe 50%, 70% less, but they don't want to deal with all the liens. They don't want to deal with all the risks and things it takes to untangle it to get it to sale. And I'm willing to do that. I'll do it all day, not only for the profits, but only for the amount. I have to do less deals a year to get the same profits, if not more.
I think that's amazing because, I mean, being transparent, they're in such a vulnerable state too. Like, I think that being transparent is the best route. And honestly, like, I also think that that leads to you getting referrals in the end, like, because you know, you have that relationship with them. I mean, and you are looking, I mean, you even dig deeper. So, you know, like the real pain that's happening with them, with like the liens and the other things that are happening with the title. So you're not, I feel like some people, you can't go into it just being like, well, your house is crap and this is why you should sell it. You can't do that.
And I feel, so for me, I understand the people, like the full-time investors, they'll mail like 300 or get the list of 300, but I'll go through that list of 300. I mean, even a tip for someone who might be trying to do this, any town that you live in, you can raise what's called like an open records, and you can get like an abandoned or vacant property list from that township, and they'll send you that list, and you just comb through that list, and either you drive around your town and you highlight the ones that look distressed. A lot of them are bank-owned homes that the town is just maintaining. So right off the bat, I'd say about 60 or 70% of that list is like, it's a little already too far gone. The train has left. But there'll be a few gems that you'll find that maybe just got on that list that week or that month that the town has identified that property to be abandoned or vacant, and they're in the process of maintaining it, like mowing the lawn, just to kind of keep it conforming to the area. So I'll scour that list and put it on my mailer list. But I'll dig into all those lists, whether I buy them. Most of the leads I procure are through myself. Yeah, I'll dig deeper into them. So if I find 10 houses driving around that night, that week, I'll get home and I'll start digging into the records. How many liens does this property have? Like if someone acquired this, would it turn them away or not? Because I know if it's only like one lien, maybe the house is paid off and it looks distressed, I already know the competition for that house is going to be higher than the person who might have 3, 4 liens. Maybe they took a home equity loan, maybe they took a lien on their business and everything kind of tanked on them. I'm like, okay, I want that one, because I'll spend those extra 2-3 months in that title process. I'll untangle that iPhone cord, and then when I get that deal, the competition will be so much lower. But the biggest thing is I'm honest through that whole process. And every deal I've done, I mean, I still talk to those people till this day, which is a big, like, that's big for me. Yeah, I feel 80% of it is due diligence and what you put into the system. So whether it's DealMachine, whatever CRM you use, if you're putting garbage into it, the results are it's like putting bad gasoline in your car. It's not going to be firing very well. But if you do a lot of that research and you put quality into the CRM or whatever it is, what you're getting kicked out or the calls you're getting, you already know, it's like, oh wow, I already sat down last month and I spent 3-4 hours identifying these targets. I know that this person's going to meet my criteria. Now it's just going to be, are they emotionally ready, and do the numbers work?
Right. And you may find that out 6 months down the road with another postcard attached to their fridge, and they're like, we saved it because we knew that right now wasn't great, but later. And actually I wanted to, as you were saying, the list thing, and that you go and you look at the houses, something exciting to you that we haven't released just yet, but we're having a actual planned route system where you can click on a list in your system and it'll plan the most effective route for you.
Nice.
And it'll actually be like Google, where it will say, take a right on yada, yada, and the house will be on your left and it'll be highlighted for you because it was on your list. So it hasn't been released yet. You're actually like one of the first people I'm like allowed to tell, but
nice.
I think that'll definitely help you.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I feel a lot of, the due diligence process is, when you first start, it is a process where you waste the most time, because I mean, even if you don't know what area you're driving around, you're like, man, I was just here 5 minutes ago. I could be able to knock that out. For me, it's all about efficiency and quality over quantity. So that's a great tool. I'm using like Google, or I'm stopping over and typing the next address. The area I live in, I'm really familiar with, so I could zigzag in and out. But yeah, in like a new area, that's definitely helpful because now you're spending 30 minutes to get a few houses and you're passing the same house 3 or 4 times where you could have just been in and out.
I'd be so irritated. That's like, and I started, so we have a demo for the team to start using before we release it. And it just blows my mind because I can pick a list that I want and it'll just say find first property. And you can actually preview it already from the Google Street View on there. And if you already am like, well, maybe I don't want this, you can just skip and it'll take you to the next route to the next property on your list.
That's
and
great.
It'll make sure that it's time efficient for you.
Yeah, that's great.
But I feel it'll help you out if that's why I was like, man, I don't want to hold it back from him because I want him to know that it's coming.
Yeah, no, I'm all in on the DealMachine app now. Like I said, when I started, I was very skeptical and I was like, let me try this because I need something to take that part of, it's not the best use of my time writing these letters and mailing it out myself. So I need to outsource this app. And now I even want to step further. So now I'm using Zapier. I'm making the Zap. So for my business of real estate sales, I'll use like a CRM for that as well, which is Follow Up Boss. So they have a lot of automations as well. But what I did, I went one step further. I use Mojo Dialer for like prospecting. And through Zap, I linked it up with DealMachine. So every time now I throw, and I'm still working it out to be exactly how I want it to be, but every time I'm driving and I add a lead to my my phone through the app, when I get home, it's already sitting in I've created like a calling list on Mojo. It's already sitting in my DealMachine, a calling list. And through there, I could just send it to my follow-up boss and it just starts automations like monthly voicemails, texts. I mean, I'm trying to work this out to be like, one click does 10 things for me and I don't have to do anything until they call. And it's automated text, voicemails every 40 to 45 days. I'm still working out working out the kinks, but I'm able to merge my sales side and the investment side. It's at the end of the day, it's all the same. So it's been awesome.
Zaps are literally my like favorite thing ever because
I was overwhelmed by them when someone first told me about them. Like, yeah, I get this, but I kind of don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think in the last 6 months, I was like, oh, I get it. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm even using it for other sides of our business that I'm like, we use Slack. I'm like, my gosh, I can link it to this and I can do this. And it is overwhelming at first because I'm like, wait, you can do this to this Zap. It's so much stuff. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I want to get you a DealMachine hat. So I'll send you a link so that, and you can just, you just go through, find the hat. We do have this in white on white as well. Some people like that. Again, thank you so much because this is amazing. And
thank you.
Please let me know if you have any other deals that close. I'd love to keep in touch and get another call in.
Yeah. Right now I'm running a few campaigns. The next one that hits, I'm hoping it's another 6-figure deal and we'll do this again. And honestly, at the end of the day, who's ever trying to go my route, going that quality over quantity, maybe doing less but getting more. I mean, you only have to do one a year to kind of set yourself up. And if you do anything after that, it's just kind of icing on the cake.
Oh yeah. What did you make off of this one? Could you mind saying?
So this one, I bought it.
Number.
No worries. I kind of trailed off when you asked me that. So I paid $122,750. I ended up selling it over asking. I had it for $285. I got $290. So after closing costs, it's around plus or like $155. Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Before that, my best deal was like $185, but once again, it was a renovation. It was a complete gut I did. So yeah, the numbers were there and it worked out. It made sense to be in that deal for 6 months, but then it was 6 months of my money being tied up compared to this being exactly. I closed it on the 4th when I acquired it. That was September 4th, and I closed on it again on October 13th. So you have like 36 days or whatever. So that time frame, which is something we can't get back, right? And there's no one's figured out an app or a thing to buy time is like, well, I'm making 155 in 36 days or under 40 days versus 185 in 6 months. I'm like, I'd rather do this and just focus on my sales business.
I'm just shook. Like what? Like that's what one person does want to make in literally a year. So
yeah, and so was I, because I thought I was like, someone was playing a joke on me. I was like, okay, I just put this thing in this app. I just kind of researched. I did my research. Obviously, I put in the time, but I was like, all right. Then someone just called me off of this app, off this mailer, and then I met with them, and I just gave them my honest opinion and and options, and they just picked one, and then 36 days later I'm closing for 155. I was just like, all right. Like, when is something gonna go wrong?
Yeah, right. What's gonna happen during this time?
Like, what is this?
You almost don't say anything until it's actually signed and you get the check in your hand.
That's exactly what I did. And it was during this whole COVID time.
Yeah.
I closed on this, like, during this whole mess, and I was just like, wow. Like, which also opened my eyes to be like, there's great deals, whether it's a recession, depression, whatever the market's doing. If you know knowledge and how to find them and how to approach, you will always find something good. So now I'm excited to be like, hey, when the market flips, to be a different, like a buyer's market and inventory numbers are higher. I think if you know how to find good deals and know how to acquire them and hold people's hand through that process, it's the famine mentality in this business is very high, where people always think like there's not enough homes to go around. But I've always approached it to be like, there are millions of houses within like 10 square foot mile, whatever radius. Like, there's enough houses to go for anyone, whether you want to do mobile homes, whatever type of homes, new development, like there's enough for everyone. Where I think people drop the ball is they want to do everything right away. Yeah. And then they don't find anything. And then they start getting, well, there's nothing out there. It's like, no, you have to go back to your desk and start doing not the meaningless, but like the boring work, the research, and learn things that other people don't know. And what I found is, start focusing on houses that other people don't want or won't sit there for those 4 hours and do that research, because they want the money quick and they want to do 30, 40 flips a year. And to me, I'm like, 30, 40 flips, but like, for what? Like, how many of those houses am I keeping versus, and the profits are like 15 to 20,000 a house. I'm like, that doesn't excite me. I'd rather do one and I'm making the same profit these guys are making 6 or 7 houses. That's always been my mindset.
I love it. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
But again, thank you so much. And I will be emailing you right after this. And if you need anything at all, just email me.
Awesome. We'll be in touch. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Stay safe.